you from Taipei, Taiwan, which is very, very
Wonderful.
beautiful. More humid than I'm used to experiencing being from Seattle. Today we have two wonderful artists. I'm sure if you join us, you know them very, very well. We have Anna Marie. She's in Nebraska via Tanzania. Hello, Anna Marie. And then we have Carolyn, and Carolyn is in Australia, in Canberra, which is the capital of Australia. So we welcome her as well. Hello, Caroline. And they're going to tell you about their dot cards. They're going to show you some of their art, and they're just going to make it really, really interesting for you. So which one of you would like to start?
I thought Anna Marie was going first.
Okay, Anna Marie. So we're going to start with Anna Marie, and then we'll go to Caroline.
Ethel does such a great job organizing.
Oh, she does. You guys do great. And Anna Marie has a very special cameraman with her, which is her son. So her son is cameraman today.
Hello. My eldest son is cameraman, and I have my second son will be our model a little bit later.
Okay.
To start with, thank you for having me. I wanted to start with a question that I would like you guys to be asking as we're going through this presentation. The first question that I am encouraging you to be asking for yourself is, how do I take the next step of growth as an artist? Because we're all in different places. Some of us are 50 years ahead, some are just 3 months in. And I just want to encourage you to be asking this question as we're having this discussion. How do I take my next step, my next benchmark as an artist? And the second question I want to encourage you to ask is, what is my work? What is the artwork that only I can create? We are each unique with unique circumstances and lives, and there is artwork that only happens because you will create it in your lifetime. So as I'm going through this presentation for the next 25 minutes, I'd like to encourage you to be asking yourself these questions. Hi, thank you so much for making time to join me today. My name is Anna Marie Steffenson. I was born in the Middle East, in Jerusalem, and I have lived on both the Israeli side and the Arab side, and spent some of my childhood on a farm in Nebraska. And I've lived in Taiwan, where John currently is. That makes me so excited, John, that you're at another one of my homes. And currently we live in East Africa. My husband, crazy life story. At the moment, we are visiting Nebraska to just temporarily and before going back to East Africa. I'm always proud of myself when I can do my intro in one breath. It's a lot. Today, we're going to overview the colors, and we're going to do a quick demo of figure drawing with my live model in the background. So thank you. This is who I am. First of all, introduction to my dot card. I'm going to bring that camera a lot closer. And what we have here is the colors that I have as the dot card. And I have something like a master's, too much obsessive information with studying color. Thank you, John, for feeding my habit of enjoying color very much. First, I'm going to show you the color garnet, because this is a good example of the kind of information that I'm providing for myself with each pigment that we go through. Okay, my dot card starts with the color goethite, which is pigment brown 43. It's semi-transparent. Oh, we were going to talk about, before going through the colors, we were going to talk about why we choose colors, and why we choose the colors in our dot card. Let me bring this to the side. And the first question you need to ask yourself is, what brand are you going to use? As an artist, it's important to recognize that a lot of the materials we work with can be dangerous. They can be toxic and not something that you want to have in your body. When I had children and I realized that I also had children in my studio with me, I realized I needed to be not just vigilant with what I was having in my studio, but safe, because I never knew what a baby was going to put in their mouth. Obviously, they're no longer babies, but this was the first step for me, was saying I want only Daniel Smith in my office because Daniel Smith is non-toxic. Daniel Smith was a safe product. They're not having the heavy metals. They're not having more of the dangerous content in their pigments. So for me, the first question was safety. I was working with a variety of can you hold still, please? Thanks. I was working with a variety of different brands before I found Daniel Smith, and then having children and realizing that I had small children in the studio and it was important to be safe was benchmark for me. After that, when I choose pigments, I look for something that's single pigment, and then I also look for something that is light fast. What is unique that is really important to me is I am looking for singular characteristics that these watercolors produce. So would you focus in on some of these really special areas? And good job moving nice and slow. Okay. So we are not painting in oil. We are not painting in acrylic. We're not painting in caustic, right? We are working in watercolor, and watercolor leaves the evidence of the movement of water behind. Sorry, I'm trying. You're doing good. And with these characteristics of water, we have granulation that you will only experience happening in watercolor, and it's worth celebrating. And I feel like we have something unique and special that doesn't happen in any other medium. And I feel like we have the possibility of a renaissance in this medium. So for me as an artist, I'm looking for something that, okay, why don't you put back on this? I'm looking for freedom and looseness. And then I'm also looking for technical perfection for me in my creation and process of creating artwork. I'm looking for that combination. And I feel like watercolor is so good at creating that possibility and that flexibility. Okay. For choosing my Dotcard, I had to ask myself what are favorite colors that I love, and also what are the colors that I use frequently, but also what is the goal? And if you look at the C-Lab definition of my colors, color Dotcard, see if I can find it in my notebook. If you look at the distribution of the colors in the C-Lab, you will see that it's distributed well around the whole circle, except in violet. I don't have violets. And the reason is, for me professionally as an artist, I am looking for a palette for what I work on. Right now, I have been working for the first 10 years, I was working in landscapes primarily. And then for the last 5 years, I've been working in portraits. I've been looking for pigments that are transparent and granulated, a specific combination. And I learned I'm not doing beautiful flowers. I'm not doing roses. I'm not doing still lifes. I don't need purple. You can mix it with the colors that I've got, but these are the colors that I need and I use. Also, I live in East Africa, which means, and before that I was in Chickasaw Nation in Oklahoma with the Native American Chickasaw tribe. And I just needed to be able to do a complete range. And living in Taiwan, I need to be able to create a complete range of skin tones, not one ethnicity, not two ethnicities, but half a dozen, and the whole variety and spectrum of beautiful colors that we have as skin tones. I've noticed I also truly love the historic pigments. I love knowing that the pigments that I'm using in my Dotcards, so here's two of them, are colors that have been used in cave paintings and in petroglyphs, that we have historically colors that we have still light fast from 5,000 years ago. So example would be pigment yellow 43. So my Monte Amiata is an example of that. Pigment brown 7, which is burnt umber. I have garnet, and then there was one more. Oh, another really important one historically is lapis lazuli. And lapis lazuli was the color that originally seduced me to join Daniel Smith. This is the reason I made the jump. Lapis lazuli historically has been used, has such a rich tradition in art history with being the color for religious art. This is the color they painted Mary in, and it was more expensive than gold. And I'm so grateful to be able to work with it now, not being as expensive as gold anymore, but still to be able to work with the original correct pigment. And that I have a watercolor friend in Sulphur, Oklahoma, Jay, and he talks about, we were talking about lapis lazuli, and he was talking, I love how eloquent he was. He says, I'd rather paint with a thing than the thing that tries to be the thing. And that just hit it on the head for me of, yeah, I'd rather paint with the real thing than the fake. Okay, so here are my colors. Johan, would you like to show these colors while I talk about them? You leave the camera and you can hold them this way, please. Okay. This is my wonderful helper. So first of all, we have goethite, which is brown ochre pigment yellow 43. So this is a historic color, beautifully granulating, semi-transparent. Next, we have Monte Amiata, natural sienna, pigment brown 7. Again, this is historically very old color, and in the yellow range, transparent. Next, we have chrome titanate. This is a brand new color. I couldn't resist, and I loved this one for being desaturated for the skin colors. And you can see the range of values that this yellow has, and it is semi-transparent. Thank you. Next we have
Anna-Marie, I love the way you have presented each color. It's so original, so beautiful, and so clear to see all the values of that color and all the range. I love it, really. Congratulations.
Thank you. This is a project I was working on about 2 years ago, and it was about a 3-year project of just realizing, okay, I don't just want a dot of the color. I need to see the full range, because with yellows, there's a huge variety, right? Right here we have nickel azo, which has a full range of values. But then here we have Hansa yellow light, which has a very limited range of values. They're both yellow, but seeing what they are.
Different colors, they seem, yeah.
Angela, this information is also very relevant, and if you want to, and exciting to learn about as an artist, and to learn keeping documentation of the information yourself. I'd love to talk to everybody more obsessively about color, because I love it.
It is fantastic.
Anna-Marie, this is a safe space to geek out about color. You're in a safe space.
You don't have 48 or 56 hours. And I just made my husband laugh his head off in the background. Or 42 years, as my husband has to put up with. Alrighty, so here we have Hansa yellow light. And again, I wanted to also show you in the back, I also do light fastness tests, because I love you, John. I am so glad to be friends with you, but I also know some companies, with having worked with a variety of companies, don't always tell you about the light fastness. So I do my own light fastness tests for every single pigment that I work on. And I want to show you the reason why. These are children's watercolors, and these are the watercolors that are safe enough to eat for kids, you know. But you do light fastness tests and the color disappears. It's gone. And this is another huge reason to have Daniel Smith, because you can do the light fastness test, and this is a high quality artwork. I can put my paintings in the sun, because you're not supposed to, don't do that, but you're able to, and they will survive, which is amazing to be able to test your pigments and say, I know that this pigment will survive in the sun with absolutely no change whatsoever. for, let's see, this was in the sun for
2 months.
11 months with absolutely no change.
Wow,
So
that's amazing. That's amazing that not only the company tells you, but that you test it and you have the proof.
but this is why it's worth paying for the high quality product, right? This is not a kid's it is a kid's product. It's safe for kids, and it's worth it, right? Some of these tubes are an investment. You for the first years of being an artist, and always, I budgeted really, really carefully and was very strategic. You hold it still on the order that I bought them in, because it was an investment for me. But realizing it's worth it. It is what you're buying is a good product. All right, and I was saying that before I was a brand investor. All right. Here we
They're
have
your professional tools.
yeah.
They're your professional tools.
Yeah. Here we have rich green gold. It is semi-transparent, non-granulating, but again, I'm interested in singular characteristics, and the singular characteristics that it exhibits is beautiful reticulation, etc. Also, in my brain, I don't like green very much. I'll say it out loud. I think of this color as a yellow. And the reason I think of it as a yellow is you can see the spectrum. Yeah, it's green here, but as soon as you get into the light values, and the economy in the light values is really high economy, and it's just a phenomenal yellow range for your early spring sunshine hitting young green. Pigment brown 7, which is burnt umber, semi-transparent. I love this one for the granulation, and philosophically, I don't use a lot of neutralizing colors, but this is the closest of what I do have for a neutralizing color that unifies an image. All right, I see I got to move a little quicker if I'm going to get to. Okay, Minnesota pipestone, semi-transparent granulating, garnet genuine.
It's garnet, I believe it's a Primatech color, isn't it?
Yes, I love the Primatex, and many of the colors I chose were Primatex for my Dotcard. And on this one also, you can see the really high economy of one color has such a large range that I couldn't even fit it on the 8 shapes here. I actually had enough to keep going to the nuance of the really delicate high values.
Mm-hmm. Can I read to you a comment? Maureen says, the way you have laid out your cards allows one to see the dimension and to envision the use of each color in different ways. The presentation already allows us to think and see the possibilities of art. Thank you.
Thanks. I appreciate the comment. Thanks. And thanks to John for hosting me today. I appreciate that very much.
My pleasure.
Transparent pyrrole orange, transparent non-granulating. But again, this is one of the colors that has phenomenal, unique characteristics that are worth celebrating. All right, quinacridone coral.
I love this color.
Rhodonite genuine, non-granulating, transparent Primatech. This is a favorite. Letitia, this is for you when you watch this recorded video. This is one of my favorites also. I've gone through multiple tubes. Sodalite genuine. I bought this color for Nebraska skies, for the tornadoes. Sorry.
Letty is on. She's on Facebook. So you may say hi to Letty.
Okay, Letty, this is for you. And the granulation, I got this for our skies. We need this. I need this as a landscape painter when I'm painting skyscapes of all the tornadoes that always hit us in Oklahoma and in Nebraska. We've had 2 in my local town this spring. Don't miss that in East Africa. Here we have serpentine genuine, and again, I'm not that ecstatic into greens, but the reason for purchasing this color and the reason it made it onto the Dotcard is the 2 colors that this color has. It has a green higher color. I don't have the vocabulary to describe it correctly. And it has a brown and a warm granulation. And that granulation separates really well. And it's worth exploring and celebrating. one of my first loves, lapis lazuli, and then the synthetic form of lapis lazuli, which is ultramarine. And this is a classic that you just can't, I can't get away from you. It's beautiful. Phthalo blue red shade, which again has beautiful reticulation. And for the skies, again, Sleeping Beauty turquoise genuine. Okay, gone through colors. I see I have a limited amount of time. May I ask?
Yes,
for you?
about 9 minutes till
Oops.
half past.
Still
8
9
and
minutes.
Yeah.
Great. Okay.
time went
So
by.
thanks. I appreciate that. Okay, I'm watching it. As an artist, my first interest is not color. It's counterintuitive to say that, but my first interest as a watercolorist is the singular characteristics that watercolor can create. So what I'm looking for is reticulation. What I'm looking for is granulation. What I'm looking for also is something called flocculation here. Are you able to get that? Flocculation of the pigments. So how they cluster as they're wet and then dry in the evidence of the water. Can you focus on this point right here? You can see the evidence of the water. Hold it nice and still. You can see the evidence of the water after the pigment has dried. It leaves the beauty behind in the movement. And these unique characteristics that don't happen in any other medium. In oil and acrylic, you can push it and try, but here, this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking to not have perfect control. I'm looking to not have perfection. I'm looking to see, can I celebrate this pigment doing what it wants to do by itself?
Anna, sorry to interrupt you.
Yes.
Hi, Anna, sorry to interrupt you. Can you tell me which colors are in there? Lastly,
Yes.
that you showed
This is my full Dotcard. These are all
No,
the
I
different.
mean, you showed the detail, the last detail where I have seen that's one. You remember
Yes.
which colors are here mixed? Rhodonite and
Sodalite.
sodalite.
And this is Quin Coral.
Queen coral. Very nice effects. And below that,
And then
some
below
ochre.
that, we have
No, very nearby. Yeah, even this one I love. Yeah, this granulation. These two.
this is Monte Amiata.
Beautiful. I love Monte Amiata and these two others.
I really enjoyed seeing also the Nicolazzo
Green.
going into the Sleeping Beauty turquoise and just seeing how it moved.
That's beautiful. I love these effects.
Well, it's amazing.
Thank you. All right, now I need you to focus right here. Okay, so this is playing. This is swatching. I love this. This brings my heart rate down. This brings me so much peace and joy, but that's not all we do. All right. What we also have is I love figure drawing and working on figure drawing. We have short sketches of figure drawing and then also longer sketches of figure drawing. And that's what we're going to do quickly at the end. And again, this is the Dotcard colors, every color there. And what I'm looking for is beautiful skin tone range, as well as being able to hit the full darks. As a watercolorist, so often you hear people writing, watercolor is very good for pastels, but not capable of reaching the darks. They're wrong. All right. This was a beautiful model that normally I don't appreciate drawing young, beautiful people. They're boring. I like drawing age and wrinkles. But this was a beautiful lady named Katie, and she had the most unique nose, and it caught my attention, and she was so kind to let me draw her, and I got this one done Sunday. And that was live. She sat for me very kindly at a church picnic, and I'll be able to return this to her immediately next week. And I wanted to say a big thank you to my figure drawing group. Please hold the camera still. To my figure drawing group who was mentoring me in Oklahoma and helped me grow just amazingly as an artist. I'm so grateful for that. And there's a man in the figure drawing group named John Betker, who's an amazing teacher, just gifted in teacher and loves thinking about composition, very much focuses on that. Please hold the camera still. Okay. And I've been, working on portraits for a while, with almost 5 years with that group, and I wasn't growing in the way I wanted to grow. Do you remember my question at the beginning? How do we grow? How do we grow as an artist with where you are as a person? So I asked, every week, and then finally I asked John, what do I do to grow? I feel like the work that I did when I was 14 and 17 is no different than the work I'm doing now. And he told me, paint 100 portraits. So I painted 100 portraits. And then I kept going. And then I went and visited Gabriel Stockton, another brand ambassador, last year, just about a year ago. And he took me to a watercolor event, and we were all painting. And I asked another artist in his group, an older grandpa, whose name eludes me at the moment, I apologize, who's a well-known artist in his context. And he said, paint every day. And I found with both of those, I knew that, but that was so good to hear, because those were important steps for growing as a professional artist. So here we have Warrior Hawkins portrait, and this I painted this one right here when I was having malaria, but I had 24 hours to submit, and I didn't have a painting the right size, so I had all the studies done, so I figured, let me do what I know to do. So this is a Native American. He was Cherokee and Chickasaw. I might have gotten that wrong. And he modeled for me right before getting on the plane for going to Africa, and I was so grateful that he did. And as grateful, I painted. Normally, I take a lot longer for my long paintings, large paintings, but this one I painted in 24 hours. That's all I had. And when I finished, my wonderfully eloquent 10-year-old, who's a very good art critic, said, "Mom, it's good, but you can do better." So right over here, we have, and this, sorry, the Warrior Hawkins piece is currently, it was in Italy this year, and then it will be in Fort Worth later this year, which is pretty exciting.
Just a quick question. Buffy asks in Facebook, if there is time, can you share how the pigment load creates the flocculation? More pigment in the mix create more clumping?
That's a wonderful question. It is very good. And that'll have to be another time, because that is so much content to communicate, because it changes at each consistency. So let's talk about that at another time. All right. What we have here is a very quick setup. I see I have 1 minute left. We're going to do this. In the background over here, we have a model. Mr. Model, would you please strike your first pose? And what we have set up is my figure drawing palette. This is the one that I take to figure drawing. It changes over the years. This is my current one that I just set up since coming here to Nebraska for figure drawing. Okay, first pose, do you remember? No. Okay, in the background, I have my model. Johan, can you please set it up so I can see, so that from your screen you can see me and him. And what we're gonna do Perfect. Let's try and not make a mess on the carpet. Okay, can you see me and my model?
Yep.
No, and can you put that up behind arms up? Okay, what this one? And a lot of people are
It's so cute.
A lot of people are unwilling to do watercolor or water media for figure drawing, because you have limited time, but absolutely worth doing. Don't be afraid, and have the courage to do this. And the secret to doing this and to doing it well is have the courage to do it wrong. Hold your pose. Show me that second arm. Very good. Oh, very good. Sorry. Perfect. No. And again, so we're looking for flexibility, we're looking for granulation also through this process. Okay, and I don't want them to just float through space. Okay, so what I've gotten is my light values down quickly. Be careful not to drip on my carpet. And again, I saw I had -1 minute to go. So I'm gonna pop in my darks quickly and well. Okay.
Anna Candela mentions total Renaissance pose.
Beautiful.
I'm gonna spread this cloth on those so it doesn't.
You're so helpful. Your son,
Yeah, he's doing a good job. I'm really
You're
grateful.
both
for
of them.
All right, so again, a super quick, fast sketch. Here we have our model in the background, thank you, and a super quick sketch. And now at this point, you actually want to let it dry to allow the granulation and the reticulation to happen with you.
That's fabulous, Anna. That's fabulous.
May we go to the front camera for focus? Thank you so much for letting me have time to share with you my passion for color and painting. Thank you, John, for hosting me. And I want to encourage you in thinking of the questions. What do I need to do to make the next step as an artist? And also in the question, what is the art that only I can make? Because you are a unique person and the artwork that you will make will never be done by another person. It can't be. And to ask yourself, what is my work? Thank you so much. And
Awesome.
I appreciate that you
Nice
gave
presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's
Thank you,
amazing.
Anna. Thank you, boys.
Your passion is
Thank
Thank you,
contagious.
Anna.
Okay, that was very nice, very good.
Absolutely
Okay.
amazing.
Yes. So now we have Caroline from Australia.
Yeah. Hi, my dear.
Hey, everybody.
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to going after that amazing sort of celebration of color that Anna Marie just shared with everybody. I also love color, and I love color for color, and I'm not as technical about my desire for different features within the color. It really is about what the color does for me emotionally and how I connect with it within my artwork. I find following Anna Marie's suggestion about growth and where we are each individually as an artist, and
Oh, we lost
I've
your
just
voice.
muted myself accidentally. Are we there yet?
Yes,
Yep,
yes.
hear you.
Yeah, good.
Okay. Thank you. All right. I hope I was just speaking before and everybody could hear me. Wasn't really sure about that.
We heard
So
Yeah,
you.
good.
We did. We
Fine.
did.
Good morning from Australia. I'm coming to you from Canberra, the capital city. It's winter, it's cold, and it's very early in the morning. But I was very excited to watch and preview Anna Marie's sensational explanation of so many of the colours that she's chosen. And I'm a different artist, and I will do it in my way. And I think what I have really enjoyed in this whole series of Dotcard introductions from all the brand ambassadors is how differently each of us react with the color we choose, with the presentation of how we share our color, with why we love certain colors, the influences in our world, in our artwork of colour, and how that's often evolving and ever changing as our life experiences change as well. Anna Marie suggested that we look at our personal growth, and that's something that I have personally done sometime and do review occasionally. And I can attest to the idea that you will not grow as an artist unless you challenge yourself, unless you see where you want to go and actually make commitments to going there. So I think that's really important. One of the things that I did many, many years ago, if I hold up this massive card, can you see it? Oh no.
No, you should
No.
deactivate.
I will put it on my page.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can see on my massive card that somebody challenged me to do exactly what Anna Marie challenged you all to do, and is actually look at yourself, what you have, where you want to be, how are you going to get there? And I was encouraged to do this enormous page, which is called a vision board. And I actually looked through where I wanted to be, who my influences are, how I was going to get there, and how was I going to connect my art world to the way I wanted to perceive my art. And that meant developing my style, finding my place, connecting with the right materials, being confident of what you're using, learning about all your materials so well that you have a justification as to what you're using. And in that journey, I had the wonderful opportunity to meet John and Catherine from Daniel Smith, and they highlighted to me what passionate people they are about their beautiful products. And it's something, because I'd already been using their products, was already in awe about the quality and everything about, you know, what I was using. I just felt so confident. And after meeting both John and Catherine, I just was completely blown away with their commitment to making beautiful products for us all to enjoy in our studios. So after meeting John and Catherine, I was invited to a few blogs. And I think the idea of sharing your passion through blogging, whether it be on social media, whether it just be in social groups where you may connect with other artists, or whether it's in a bigger picture on the web through art magazines or Daniel Smith in my circumstance, or other social media, I was able to share some of the excitement about my journey as an artist. That led me to be invited to be a brand ambassador, which is a very cool part of my vision board journey, and something that I can say I've ticked one of those boxes with what I've tried to do. So in that big invitation comes the big challenge: choose your favorite 18 colors. Guess what? I couldn't choose 18. My card has actually got 21 colors on it, excluding titanium white, which I just have on my palettes just for the benefit of my students, because I always want something on occasion to mix, and using a white to mix it with. So my dot cards were born from a lot of experimentation, a lot of consideration of that famous question that art teachers get asked all the time, is what colors should I buy? And we all go through moments where we're being influenced with particular type of art. So the current colors that are influencing us may be different today as they will be in 6 months or 2 years' time. So I challenged myself to find a set of colors that I could recommend to my students, to friends, to other artists, that I believe that they could confidently use for years and years and years, and only add an occasional favorite when they found something really cool and exciting they had to own, or they could stay with the investment that they've made with their original set, and that would take them a long way. So the colors that I chose were reflective of a whole kaleidoscope or a whole rainbow, as you say, a bit like the old classic pack of colour pencils you got as a child, which you had one or two colours from every part of the spectrum. So you'll see that's quite a colourful variation in my colours. The colours I chose were buff titanium, Naples yellow, iso-indoline yellow, and Hansa yellow light. Now these are my light, bright, pretty, sun, help with skin tones, help with all sorts of other mixing things. But I made sure that I had a cool and a warm yellow, and that was important to me. Then moving into my reds, quinacridone coral is definitely something that I could not live without. Not only is it a beautiful, what I consider a primary red, it's also the most amazing mixing red to warm things up. And being a quin, it has the fire, so it brings to life any colour you mix it with. And then a deep red, it was a challenge for me, but after lots of testing, I found Pearlane Scarlet was a beautiful deep red. And that gave me the benefit of being able to mix Pearlane Scarlet with either iso-indoline yellow, Hansa yellow light, or quin coral and get a massive variety of reds because I had a deep red. Then I was challenged with, I was missing a pink. And I don't paint pink very often. It's not a colour that I was very comfortable with choosing. I would lean often into rhodonite, or I would lean into some of the quins. But after testing many different pinks, I decided that quinacridone rose was my comfort zone for a pink. So when you look at quinacridone coral versus quinacridone rose, you then have a yellow-based pink if it's washed out, or a blue-based pink in the quinacridone rose. So you've got a variation of warm and cool in both the pinks as well.
Caroline, excuse me.
Moving in, sorry.
Caroline, someone is asking if you could, I don't know, move the dot card or the other card a bit nearer to the camera, or the camera.
I can try. Yeah, my camera's a bit blurry.
I posted an image.
I can't move it much without ruining my whole setup, I think.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well,
Yeah. It's not focusing properly, is it?
Yeah,
There's an image in the chat that you can click
Yes.
on and download and see it closer.
Oh, that's
Okay.
lovely.
Thank you. That much appreciated. So moving into my colours, again, Carbazole Violet and Lavender were my purples. Now, Carbazole Violet really, really washed out can look a little bit like a lavender, but it has a richness and an intensity that's amazing in itself, but also, again, an amazing mixing colour. I'll show you a whole lot of my mixes in a moment. I was just going to run through my dot cards first. Lavender is one of those pretty colours. Many skies in Australia can be lavender in colour. And so it's a colour that couldn't be missed on my palette due to its beauty, that real blue-based lavender that we recognise regularly in our environment. I'll miss the next one because I'll go back to it. In my blues, I chose a few different blues. I chose French ultramarine because of its slightly larger granulating particle. And I thought, if I'm going to have a granulating blue, I want it to really granulate. Even though regular ultramarine will granulate, the French is just slightly more. So I went for the slightly more. And being a red-based blue, it is my cool blue, and I needed a warm blue. So I chose manganese blue hue.
I love that. Oh, that.
Yeah, I love, love, love manganese. Manganese, I go through tubes and tubes and tubes of it here. Everybody loves manganese. It was a big decision to make over cerulean, over cobalt, over, all sorts of other colors, but manganese became my favorite, and I will never look back. I really adore manganese. The other blue that I added to my mix, because I particularly like indigo, but I can make indigo with some of my colors. And that was what my Dotcard was about. It's not just the colors they were, but what other colors could you make from them? So I chose indanthrone blue. Also in the warm side, it's the yellow-based blue when you're talking about yellow or red bases. And it is nice and deep and rich without being very dark like indigo. However, if I mix indanthrone or French ultramarine with neutral tint, I can get a beautiful indigo. Now, I'm an ocean artist. If any of you have ever looked up my artwork, I paint rocks, I paint oceans, I paint rock pools, I paint coral reefs, all sorts of wonderful things. And I could not live without cobalt teal blue. So I'm one of those. Was it 30 of us on the Dotcards, John, that chose cobalt teal blue? I'm one of them.
37.
37 of us. Wow. Okay. So I'm one of the 37 that can't live without this color. And it is primarily probably the very first color I chose when I was looking at my Dotcards. Now, another color that's very similar, if it's painted very lightly, is phthalo turquoise. Now, phthalo turquoise, do I put it on? Do I not put it on? Can I richen up cobalt teal blue? I can't get it deep enough for the deep areas. And if I added blue to my cobalt teal blue, it would turn into more a blue tone, not the greenish tone that phthalo turquoise is. So I found that phthalo turquoise was the most beautiful, rich, pure, deep ocean color. And I love the staining quality of the phthalo. I then moved into some effect colors. And one of them that I really liked is the granulation. And Luna Black just became my mainstay. I really, really tossed between Luna Black and Luna Blue because I love them and adore them both. But I felt that Luna Black was for a suggestion set. If somebody's going to go buy a set, Luna Black was one of those ones you really couldn't do without. You can buy Luna Blue and Luna Violet and other things later, but you really need Luna Black. I think Rajat last week said, oh, I should have put Luna Black. So I'm definitely had Luna Black in my group.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now phthalo yellow green was another interesting one, choosing that color. Phthalo yellow green was not a color I had considered at all. The color that I really like is the yellow green, is the olivey colors. And I would never use phthalo yellow green very often purely in my artwork. But once I played with the variations of color I could make with phthalo yellow green, it became a hero. It is the most beautiful mixing color. You can get the most beautiful olives. You can get the most beautiful limes. You can add phthalo yellow green to purples and get amazing browns. You can just do so much with this color. So it became an important color because of its mixing qualities. I think nearly every brand ambassador has quinacridone gold. Would I be correct by saying that?
Probably 20 plus.
Lot of us.
Lots and lots. Queen gold. Nobody can live without
no,
gold.
Doesn't like it. Anna doesn't like it.
Oh, really?
She has so many
gold.
yellow.
Yeah, Queen Gold is just a hero among heroes in the watercolor world. It is fire and light and bright and airiness and mixing qualities and so many amazing things. So I can't ever say if you could only buy 5 colors, it would always be one of my 5, definitely. Now, another mixing quality is the Luna Black is gorgeous, but it's quite rich and quite heavy. I was looking for another way to not, because I had to only have 18 colors originally, right? How do I get more granulation in my Dotcard? And so I added Hematite Genuine because it's actually a very soft color, but added to other colors makes the most beautiful granulation of any color. So it became my go-to optional granulation effect for many colors, not just because it's the hematite to use alone, but because it mixes amazingly with beautiful colors and creates beautiful granulations. We already talked about indanthrone. Cascade Green was another one. It was one of those ones that has such beautiful, unique qualities. It breaks apart into golds, into blues, into greens. It's just so interesting. So a lot of those very special features, the separation, the way the water mixes with it, are also evident in this particular color. And I felt it was a very unique color, and it's nice to have a really unique color in your set. And then the last one that I chose was also looking at effects. Now, when you paint water, sometimes you're looking for little glistens of light or little shimmers and things like that. And you're way into the painting and you haven't got those white areas left, but you need to revive and lighten something. And I found the mica based colors, the luminescence was where I would go to, I would lean to. So after testing a lot of them, for my dot card, I chose Duo Lapis Sunlight, which shimmers a green blue, which is very reminiscent of what happens on the surface of water when it's shimmering and reflecting the sky, and also perhaps the color of the water underneath. So it became my special iridescent as such on my palette. So while I was exploring all of this, I've been also working towards my workshops. And in my workshops, I've got historical information and found, oh, we've got a light flashing on there. I might turn that light off. How does that sound? Is that better? Okay.
Yeah.
So what I found in exploring color is that this has been something that has besotted artists for a long, long, long time. And I came across this fabulous chart, which was used in the Bauhaus back in the 1920s in Germany, where they looked at the history of color wheels, and they looked at different artists and how they described color that they used from the color wheel. And so I found this really cool poster that actually goes back to 1860 and goes through a whole different bunch of years, including Bacon in 1872, Sanford in 1891. So all these different artists that actually explored color just as we do today. So I think we are a part of the constant conversation of understanding color and how color works together. I also explored the idea of the simultaneous color and how contrasts work together, and using colors from my dot card, establish little charts that I can show how color pops when you add different layers of light and variations in your mixes. And this was all based on a fantastic book that I can recommend if you want to learn a little bit more about color, which is a very famous series of color theory exercises by an artist called Itten. He was a part, he's Johannes Itten. He was a part of the original teaching faculty of the Bauhaus in Germany. So quite fascinating to explore color through his eyes and the way he explains how color works. So it's always reflective on what we do. So when I look at my dot cards, I actually like to look at doing simple mixes and variations to see what I could do with a painting. It's very hard to tell from a simple, just a simple little color dot, what it's going to behave like. And so doing a variation of samples of colorways helps me see color variations and how colors behave together. And I usually do lots and lots of cards like this, so I can look, oh, I'd like to do my artwork in that combination of colors or this combination of colors. So it's about color, not necessarily about the qualities. However, I do love knowing when you're putting colors together, seeing the push and the pull and the granulation that happens when you put certain colors together. So that's a really nice thing to do. When we looked at granulation exercises, I think Nicholas Lopez has excited all of us to understand granulation so much better, understand how much water, how much pigment, how much this, how much that, and also understand how the lunar black and the hematite behave compared to each other on the same colours. So I've done little charts like this that actually enable me to see hematite versus lunar black and how the same colour underneath is affected by the two different granulating pigments that I have in my dot card. So you can see that in 3 different ways coming through there. That's always a fun exercise to do.
I love these charts.
So the other thing that I really found really interesting is actually when I was invited to select a very hard selection again, my 5 favorite colors from my dot cards to turn into a stick set, it took me a long time to work out what colors could I not live without in a stick set. And my stick set is my aquatic landscape series. And in deciding that, the main colors in my stick set are all from my dot card. And in doing a color chart where you're mixing all the colors against each other, you can see how many variations just 5 colors can give you by doing color charts. So it's really important to play with your color and to explore color through mixing, and stop assuming you have to make a painting to see the color mix. Doing color charts, you learn so much. You can just do color charts this way, where you're simply looking for a new color and you're showing the recipes as such. It's like a little recipe card for color, where you don't forget to put your colors down. And when you go back to it in 2 or 3 or 4 years' time, you've still got the recipe of how you actually achieve that color. So that's another simple way of looking at your color. I have a very special thing here. Hopefully it won't reflect too much. One of my students, Kath Adams, has been exploring my dot cards through a large multicolor. It's just a swatch card of all the colors and how they mix together. So this is a visual of my dot card, and I think this is absolutely sensational. And a big thank you to Kath for producing this amazing piece of art. Not just a dot card as such, and not just a swatch card, but an amazing piece of art. And the time and the effort it takes to do this is really worth the exercise, and how beautiful it really is. So nice, so nice. So my exploration also continued into making other recipe cards. These recipe cards actually show the choice of colors, the color it makes, and then a washout version of the same color. And I have pages and pages of my dot cards in recipe formats.
Wow.
And so my students can actually go in and say, oh yeah, I really want to make this color. How do you make it again? Because I know it intuitively, but they don't. So they can tell me which color they're trying to make. And from my recipe cards, they can actually make those colors themselves. So they're really worth the effort. But it's just something you have to do personally in your own time. But if you feel like painting and you don't know what to paint, at least paint color swatches so you learn more about the colors that you own and how to blend and mix, and the qualities, what happen when they're brought together. So highly recommend playing with recipe cards as such.
Caroline,
Yeah.
Leila is asking, these recipe cards are fabulous. Thank you for sharing. And they look like they can be put in a binder, this chart. Is that so?
Yeah, absolutely. They're just printed. I print the blank shapes on a piece of watercolor paper that I put through my bubble jet printer, and I can make page after page of blanks, and I can just use the card whenever I like to add it. And the information that I add to that card is if I'm going to explore phthalo turquoise, for example, my phthalo is the main color on each one of these. and the color I mix it with is next to it, and I can see phthalo turquoise, I can see quin coral, and all my quin coral mixes, my quinacridone gold, and my quinacridone gold mixes. And these are not limited to many more variations. It's just what I have done so far in my recipe cards. So I find that quite cool. In exploring these historical color charts, I felt I had a need to understand the variations of light and dark that can be achieved with my set of colors. So this particular fun little chart was about the main color in from my pure Daniel Smith pigments, and then adding more and more neutral tint to deepen it, or simply adding water to lighten it. And so the variations, a bit like Anna Marie's done, where you're looking at variations of the one color and how far you can push it from one extreme to the other. And of course, there's many variations between these colors, but they just gave me a basis of where I would head if I was looking for tonally, how deep and dark can I make that color, and what happens to it when I add neutral tint to it. And some colors lose their, a lot of their color, like titanium buff. You're really seeing more neutral tint out here. Whereas if you go into isoindoline yellow, you've got still that beautiful isoindoline coming through with the neutral tint into the deep, but you have a lovely deep color by producing that. So you can see why I love neutral tint, because it gives me a whole kaleidoscope of darks simply by adding the one pigment from my Dotcard. Really, really adore that. So it's always a fun journey to do. So the other thing I have today is looking at actual paintings. See if I can get enough of this painting in screen here. And actually exploring what are the colors and how did I make them. So this was something that I was asked to do by Catherine, I think, was all those particular paintings you put up. Can you tell us what colors you use? We've had some inquiries from some people. So I basically have made like a recipe card for the painting. So the pure colors from my Dotcards that I used, and then the variation colors and their mixes. So it's again like a recipe book of the colors from this particular painting. And that is not necessarily something we all want to know all the time about every painting we do. But if you're using paintings as reference material to understand where to go further with the idea, how do I grow? Where am I heading? These reflection cards can help you with a new painting, perhaps, with a new combination of colors. Say, I love the color combination of that painting, but this time I'm going to make it, a vase of flowers or whatever. You know what the combination is because you've made the recipe card. So it's quite cool to do that. I've got a few pictures here, so I'll run through them. There's another one which was from that same invitation to share. I don't know if I can't get the whole picture in, I'm sorry. But it has its own recipe card as well. So you can see from the same idea, my pure colors and my mixed colors. So in this case, on this particular one, every color on the page was actually a mixed color. Almost none were just a pure color. So creating a painting with all mixes from my Dotcard, I know how far I can push the colors when the whole painting is a mixed color and no pure color. Something else that I love to explore with my students is historical artists. And again, as I said, I've been working on the Bauhaus group of artists. So this is exploring a Lionel Feininger art. He was a German, but American-German artist who spent a lot of time with the Bauhaus. And he did some fabulous early Cubist style images. He was influenced by what Picasso was doing in the early around 1913, 14, just before the First World War, where he started showing his Cubist pictures. Lionel Feininger came into the Bauhaus during the 1920s, and he started exploring color and color theory through the Cubist movement. And so really, really love what you can do with that. So in understanding his colors and bringing it together as an example for you guys today, I thought I would do a recipe card for this painting. Again, it's done in a slightly different format, but yet it gives me what I need to know. So I've got my study of line of finding. I've got my main colors that I used in the painting, and I've got the variations of recipes that I made to give me all of those beautiful colors in that painting. So it's a good little learning card that I can reflect on if I really love the color group that I've used for that painting. That's quite cool. And you all know that I paint rocks. It's my favorite thing to do. It is really blurry, isn't it? I'm so sorry about that. It seemed to be clearer a moment ago. Oh, there we go. It's focused again. So again, a recipe card and a rock painting. It's amazing how few colors that I actually do use often in my rock art. So in this case, it's only got 6 colors. And of those 6 colors, 2 of them are mixed colors using my Daniel Smith Dotcard colors. So I can achieve quite a diverse painting that appears to be many, many colors with not so many. You'd be surprised. So that's quite a cool thing. There's another variation of my rock art. So this is more, oh, I might turn this way, you'll see it better. Okay, and the variation of the colors. So you can see, even though the last 2 paintings were similar, in fact, there's actually quite a few different colors in each of those two artworks. And looking at the recipes and how I made that, this one is a perfect example of how beautiful hematite mixes, in this case with quinacridone rose, to create this amazing muted dusty pink, and also how it mixes with carbazole violet to create this granulating rock feature that I've used in some of my shadow areas, and the gorgeous greens by mixing phthalo turquoise and quin gold creates the most amazing green. So it's something that you really need to try. So the more you explore your dot cards and the colors in the color groups and mix them by color charts, the more you'll see how much incredible variety you can make with the set of colors. It's part of the reason why I call mine the ultimate mixing set. Awesome. I've got one more artwork. Am I over time yet?
Yes.
You are, yes. 8 minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. And I've got one more artwork, and it is sunflowers. And, you know, when Vincent van Gogh's sunflowers came to Canberra, I had my classes all painting sunflowers. We just loved the sunflower paintings and exploring different ways and, you know, contemporary marks and all sorts of things that we can do with watercolor. I had to do a sunflower painting, and in doing a recipe card for you all, again, it shows how few colors can make so many colors by doing a recipe card. So there you go, my crazy dot cards and the exciting vision of color in my life that I do through Daniel Smith. So again, wow, thank you,
Your
John.
recipe cards
Catherine.
are amazing, are just amazing.
Fantastic.
That's so beautiful.
There you go.
Thank you so
So
much.
I'm a colorful person.
Beautiful.
It's not all about the technical side. It's just about the color. That's just me.
Fabulous.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Yeah, you're amazing, girls.
Thank you very much, Anna Marie. Thank you, Carolyn. Those were 2 great demonstrations.
Very good.
Join us tomorrow for Chihiro. Chihiro will be on Friday. And again, thank you, Carolyn. Thank you, Anna Marie. That was wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you,
You're
John.
Thank you, Anna.
Thank
you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Carolyn.
man.
We appreciate you,
Bye,
John.
everybody.
Good night, John.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Nice.
Caroline.